You hear it all the time, right? Python is the lingua franca of data science. But what does that actually mean? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why it's the absolute go-to language when you need to build powerful custom algorithms.
So look, if you're working with data, you're probably pretty comfortable with SQL. It's awesome for querying and managing data, no doubt. But what happens when you hit a wall? When the problem you're trying to solve is just too complex for a simple query. That's where we're headed. What's the right tool for building that custom logic?
And for a massive, and I mean massive, number of developers and data scientists, the answer is Python. It's the tool that really picks up where the database leaves off. It specializes in that deep algorithmic work that turns all that raw data you've collected into actual, intelligent action.
Now, you might be thinking, what about other tools like MATLAB or R? And you're right, they're super powerful for what they do, but they often have a pretty specific focus, and sometimes a hefty price tag. Python, on the other hand, is free, but its real superpower, it's this incredible flexibility. It has a massive ecosystem of pre-built packages, so if you need to do machine learning or data visualization or even build a web app, you're not starting from scratch. You just import these advanced tools and get going. This makes it a total game changer for building and testing complex solutions fast.
Okay, so let's get down to the basics. Every complex algorithm out there, no matter how wild or sophisticated it seems, is really built from just a handful of simple, powerful building blocks. If you can grasp these, you've pretty much got the key to unlocking everything else. So, first things first, before we can even think about building logic, we need to know what our raw materials are, right? So what are the absolute most basic kinds of data that Python can understand right out of the box? Well, at its very core, Python understands numbers, and it's smart enough to know the difference between integers, whole numbers, like 1, and floating point values, which are numbers with decimals, like 2.5. This precision is the foundation for any calculation. And just as importantly, Python has really solid libraries for handling more complex stuff, like dates and times, which is absolutely critical if you're doing any kind of time series analysis. Next up, we have strings, and these are really just sequences of characters, basically text. The really cool thing here is how Python handles them. It lets you work with text in a really intuitive way. You don't have to worry about the fact that deep down, the computer just sees a bunch of numbers. To the machine, A is just the number 65, but Python hides all that complexity for us. And finally, we've got Booleans. These are the simple but incredibly powerful logic gates for your code. A Boolean can only be one of two things, true or false. That's it. This super simple concept is the foundation for all the decision-making your algorithm is ever going to do.
Okay, so you have your data types. Now you need to do stuff with them, right? You need to perform calculations. And yeah, you've got your basic arithmetic, the plus, minus, multiply, divide you see here. But Python goes way beyond that. It's got a whole set of operators for comparing things and for logical combinations. And that's where you really start to build the rules for your algorithm.
All right, so we've got our raw materials. Now let's talk about how to organize them efficiently. This is where we get into a core concept for building any kind of scalable solution: functions. And this brings up a huge challenge in programming. Let's say you've figured out a series of steps to solve a problem. How do you package those steps up so you don't have to rewrite this same exact code over and over and over again? The answer is functions. And the best way to think of a function is like a reusable recipe. You write the instructions just once, and from that point on, you can use that same recipe forever just by giving it different ingredients each time to get a slightly different result. The whole process is actually pretty simple. First, you define the function. That's like writing down the recipe. Second, you call the function and give it some data. Those are your ingredients. And finally, the function returns a result. That's your finished dish. This simple pattern is absolutely fundamental to writing clean, reusable code. Okay, so now we can package our code into neat little recipes. Let's talk about how we can control its flow. See, an algorithm isn't just a straight line of commands. It needs to be smart. It needs to be able to make choices and repeat actions. This is where the real logic of programming comes into play. How does a program decide whether to turn left or right at a fork in the road? Or how does it process, say, 100 items in a list without you having to write 100 separate lines of code? How does that work? Well, the main tool for making a choice is what's called a conditional statement. It usually starts with the word if.
It basically just checks if a condition is true or false. Remember those Booleans we talked about? If the condition turns out to be true, then a specific block of code gets to run.
But what happens if the condition is false? Well, that's where else comes in. This defines the alternative path. Your program can either run a completely different set of instructions, or if you don't have an else statement, it can just skip that if block altogether and move on. It's literally creating a fork in the road for your code. All right, now what about those repetitive tasks? For that, we use loops. The for loop is going to be your best friend when you need to go through a known sequence of items, like processing every single row from a database query, or looking at every file in a folder. A for loop gives you a nice, predictable structure, but it also gives you some really fine-grained control. For example, you could use a keyword like continue to maybe skip a row that has missing data and just move on to the next one. Or you could use break to stop the whole loop once you've found the one specific thing you were looking for. That can save a ton of processing time. So here's the big payoff. When you put all these fundamental pieces together, you've got your data types to hold the information, your functions to organize the reusable logic, and your control flow to make decisions and repeat tasks, you suddenly have everything you need. You can take any complex, real-world problem and translate it into a set of precise instructions that a computer can follow to find a solution. It's that powerful.
Hey, if this breakdown helped clear things up for you, we'd really appreciate a like. And make sure to subscribe for more explainers just like this one, where we try to cut through the complexity of important topics.
And that leaves us with one final thought. You've now seen the basic toolkit, right? The building blocks. So what's the first real-world problem you would solve by building your own algorithm? What's some process in your work, or even in your life, that could be automated or solved with a bit of code? Really think about it. Thanks for tuning in.